Hey, and welcome to the How to Talk to Girls podcast. I'm your host, Trip Kramer from tripadvice.com. And on today's episode, I do a really cool interview with a guy named Vish, who is a love and dating coach. And specifically, he focuses on the area of meditation. Now, I'm kind of going along with some recent episodes that I put out on overcoming fear and getting over anxiety, things like that. And I know that there's a lot of guys out there who have a lot of fear and anxiety and a lot of nerves around the idea of meeting women and going on dates and approaching women. So I wanted to get really practical today and find someone for you who can really help out in the arena of meditation and teaching you some really cool tools. And that's what he's going to be going over today, going over some really cool tools to help you really reduce that fear and anxiety and get to a really solid core, a solid emotional state where you're not worrying so much. So if that sounds like you, someone who's worrying a lot and gets anxiety around the idea of talking to beautiful women, I highly suggest that you listen to this episode all the way through, because Vish is a very smart man and he's going to teach you a certain technology on how to be able to get more in touch with you so you can, like I said, live in that really solid emotional state. So check it out. Here's my interview with Vish. Hey Vish, happy to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks, Rob. It's an honor and a pleasure, man. I really
Yeah.
loved meeting you. We hit
Yeah,
it off immediately.
absolutely. We met, what was it at this point, maybe a couple months ago at the Love Coaches
Yes,
Conference, right?
yes.
Yeah, and it was awesome. We were going into some stuff, and we both decided it'd be really cool to have you on the How to Talk to Girls podcast and go over some knowledge and some wisdom that you have that you can share with some of the guys here. So thanks for doing that.
Thanks, man. All right, let's do it.
So tell me, well, I know a little bit, but why don't you tell the guys listening a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got into this and why you're qualified to teach some of this stuff. Give a little bio on yourself.
Yeah, and nobody goes to school wanting to be a love coach, and I'm no different. And I come from this family of nerds on steroids where everybody is an engineer. And I wanted to be different, and I chose the biology route. And I wanted to be a scientist. Came to the U.S. to Indiana to do a PhD in genetics. Cut a long story short, I sort of had a revelation when I was in the labs there that I was not meant to do this. And the revelation I was like, oh wow, I need to be in front of the screen, to be in the movies, to bring high consciousness. Because any problems I've had in life, I've always overcome them through yoga and meditation practice. When I came, I had no money. I come from a sort of little well-off family, but I stopped taking money from my parents. Wanted to do it on my own. And use meditation to manifest anything I want, my body, everything. So I moved to San Diego the following year, went and got a couple of master's degrees. And my story about how I met my wife, and she's one of the most beautiful women on this planet, or the most beautiful women on this planet. And that story sort of blew up in the media. I'm just giving a summary of how I came here. To do this type of work. And can I
Well,
just go on with the story?
let's back up. I want to hear this story.
All right, okay.
Yeah, let's hear that. Let's hear
How
this
much time you
story.
got? All right. Yeah, the story goes, like I said, I always use meditation, and you can use meditation practice in the United States. It's just barely starting. It's the whole yoga meditation movement, which came from India, is barely 100 years old. And as of right now in the Western world, people use mostly meditation just for stress relief or to get rid of anxiety. They're at that level. But in India, it's in our DNA. It's been practiced for over close to 10,000 years, recorded history. We use it for manifestation. We use it for finding God, finding the divine consciousness inside you. A visualization, to have intuitive experience, on and on. Things which are just not for stress or anxiety relief. And since I grew up in the culture and I had so much opportunity to use these meditation practices for myself, I was a pretty skinny kid. I wanted to build a muscular body. I went from 140 pounds to now I'm at 210 with less than 10% body fat. I did it through the power of visualization and meditation. So I knew when time came for me to get married, just like a trainer can tell you that, hey, I can help you get a six pack and build muscle in 6 months if you do this practice. At the end of 6 months, if you don't get the six pack and if you don't build muscle, what's the trainer going to say? He's going to say, you didn't follow a diet regimen I told you, or you didn't work out enough, you ate carbs at night, blah blah blah, because it's a system which is being proven over and over. The same way in the yoga texts, we have specific techniques to manifest that ideal mate. And the yoga masters have said that if you sincerely practice these techniques, in 6 months you will attract that ideal mate into your sphere of influence. And a little bit is spoken about in the secret law of attraction, this concept or this science which I'm talking about. So I said, all right, everything I've done is through meditation, and there's no reason not to try this technique, and I did. And 3rd month into my practice, I got an opportunity to work in a movie because, as I told you, I wanted to be in Hollywood as an actor. I still do, which is another part of my major part of my work. And I got this opportunity to be on set as an AD, assistant director, in San Diego, which is where I'm from. And 3rd month into my practice, and you have to do for 6 months. And 6th month into my practice, we had already been shooting for 2-3 months, and we would shoot over the weekends. 6th month into my practice, I one day on set, it's a really hot August day in San Diego, small room. Suddenly, I get this incredible feeling in my heart, and I didn't understand. Even in my deepest meditations, I never felt that. What in different masters have called this joy that surpasseth all understanding, this love, this unconditional love, which is present in each and every person inside you. And I felt that, and I said, wow, this is crazy. Then as I turned around, this 5.5 feet of gorgeousness is standing right behind me. And when she walked away, the feeling went away. Are you there, Trip? Are you listening?
Oh yeah, attentively.
And the feeling went away, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together. That night, when I sat down for my nightly meditation, after my meditation, I always speak to the higher power, speak to God, and if you're really, really calm, you can hear your God's response, which comes as intuition. And intuition, the difference between our egoistic opinions or desires versus intuition is intuition, when it comes, it's set in stone. If it's an intuitive experience, it comes from your sixth sense, it's a gift. It's a gift of soul. It can never go wrong. And I knew when I heard the intuitive experience that she is the one I've been searching for.
Wow.
And
that's powerful.
my regular mind couldn't make sense of it. My science mind is like, the only thing I asked when I said, okay, I want to get married, only thing I asked was, I didn't ask for a beautiful girl. I didn't ask for a wealthy person. Anything which the ego wants, it's impermanent. It's going to disappear. Just like the music you liked when you were 12 years old, or music in your 30s is completely different. You just go back and say, I can't believe I love that. So that's the nature of the ego. It keeps changing constantly. The same way, if we base our decisions of love on the ego, it's going to keep changing, and that's the reason marriages don't last, relationships don't last, because you're constantly changing. Anyway, we also have this permanent nature inside us, which is the seed of unconditional love, and through meditation we can access that part of our consciousness. And that's what I did, and that's the process. It's an internal process where it changes you cognitively. It changes your emotional state and your energy state. Anyway, without getting to the science of that, and I said I knew beyond doubt that she was the one I was looking for, but I didn't know if she was interested in meditation. And when I came to the U.S., my parents, I come from, like I think mentioned to you when we met first a couple of months ago, that I am from the direct lineage of the first master who wrote the first yoga book. And
wow.
Since I come from this lineage, I come directly from this lineage. Is one of the requirements of growing up was that I should marry somebody of that equal class, who's just from a very spiritual family. And my dad told me that if I don't do that, I would be disowned. And for me, there was no reason to, and he said, you can do whatever the heck you want with your life. Go study, go do this thing, but this thing, you can't mess with our lineage. So I was carrying this cross. It doesn't mean I was not attracted to women or anything, and women are thinking I'm gay, and because I'll be a nice guy and won't do anything. But I saw no reason to dispute that or challenge this, because I've seen good marriages and marriages which last a lifetime in the culture I come from. Just as what we take for granted here, an average American family has 2-3 cars. It's not a big deal. It just is. And same way, where I come from, marriages last. And so I saw no reason that, okay, this formula works. There's something they're doing which is working. Anyway, and we know quality through time. Quality is a function of time, and something lasts long, and we know there's something. Anyway, so I said, all right. But when this experience happened, it took me by surprise, because now I'm in this conflict whether to go after this experience, listen to my soul. If I did that, then I'll have to go against my family. Do you want me to continue with the story, because it's long? That's exactly what I did.
Well, yeah. So what happened? Maybe you can give us the quick, ending here.
Okay,
So
I'll give you a quick. Yeah. Well, the first challenge was to convince her that she's the one I've been looking for as a night mate, and I did. After the movie ended, she was the lead in the movie. She's also a beauty queen. I called her and I said, let me teach you meditation, which I call the world's greatest pickup line. If you tell a girl you teach her meditation, it always works. Now I coach thousands of people across the world, and they use this line.
That's
all the
great.
Men learning how to
learning meditation to meet girls so you can teach them meditation.
Yes. And I did. It worked. First, she thought I was crazy. And then I said, when I told her, I just came right out and I said, hey, this is the practice I did. And I transformed myself, worked on myself, and the answer came, it's you. And she thought I was crazy. And I said, you're welcome to think I'm crazy, but this is who I am. And this is what happens. And we'll come right into your question of how to talk to beautiful women, and for the men who are listening. Most of the time, when there's anxiety, when there's fear, there's awkwardness or fear of rejection, one simple answer: you are not in touch with your soul. Period. The moment you are in touch with your soul, and what is the soul? The soul is the most beautiful part of you. It's the most unconditionally loving part of you. It's your higher consciousness. It's inside you in a seed format. The moment you touch it, just as you would wear a great suit like a biryani or a very suit, it's quality. The same way we all have that soul inside us. The moment you touch that, it's light. Light means courage just flows from every pore of your being. Just as when light comes in, darkness disappears. The same way, the moment you touch your soul, fear disappears, awkwardness disappears, nervousness disappears. All these qualities which make you hop around like a grasshopper when you see a beautiful woman, they disappeared. And that's what happened to me. And when you're so sure, and people who don't understand this, and I've seen, and I coach some big celebrities as well, and they always say, and I always ask, hey, so what type of men are you attracted to? And women always go around saying, oh, I like a confident man. They really don't know what they're saying. They're not able to articulate what they're saying. What they mean is somebody who's abiding in their true nature. And again, another unconscious verbiage for that is, oh, just be yourself. These are words which people don't understand. What they mean is somebody who's in touch with their soul, who's so genuine, it doesn't matter. They're like a rock. And that's one of the reasons people exchange rocks. When people marry, here in the Western culture at least, they put a rock. Why? It signifies permanence. And it's a diamond most of the time. It signifies permanence, meaning today, day after, eternity, thousands of years from now, is the same qualities. You can polish it. It can get a little dirty, you can keep polishing on it.
So
And that's
basically,
what we're aspiring for.
you're saying that when you get in touch with your soul and you get in touch with who you are and your authentic self at your core, then you can have more, in a sense, emotional stability because you know who you
Absolutely.
are and you're comfortable with who you are.
Exactly.
So you almost
Exactly.
have no reason to have fear, to have anxiety, to have worries, to have some of those
Exactly.
emotions. That's correct? That's correct?
Absolutely. You got it. It's just like before you know how to swim and once you become a swimmer. Before you know how to swim, you're scared of water. And the water is the water. It's the same thing. So situations are going to, beautiful women are going to be there always. Those situations are neutral always. Just because we haven't learned, we haven't touched our soul, we are making up stories. Oh, she might have seen other guys who are better than me, or she might have seen. We just make up stories. It's nothing but projection of our own fears. And this is just at the psychological level. But in the yoga, we go very, very deep about all these things. We talk about the super consciousness aspect. We talk about all the qualities of sixth sense and how we can get there energetically. We just said it just get spoke about emotional stability, and Tony Robbins talks about this. He's talking about how does one achieve? How do you get into your peak performance state? And he's talking about emotional state. Oh, it's all about the emotional state. But now he goes to the city where I grew up in, and he's learning from the same masters I learned from. I mean, it's the masters who taught. I mean, it's part of our lineage, and he's learning from them. What again? Like I said, all these motivational speakers don't know, or even including Tony Robbins, is behind the emotional state is something called energy state. And all our job in life to be happy, to be fulfilled, be successful, is nothing but how we manipulate this energy state, and that's it.
And is that connected to what you said?
Yoga and meditation.
Yeah.
The technology. So the technology to manipulate this energy state. Once you manipulate and master this energy state, that means it equals to touching your soul, knowing yourself, being in touch with your higher consciousness. And then it starts exuding all the qualities, just as you take a Dalai Lama. You can say he is compassionate, you can say he's loving, he's joyous. All these things go around it. He's just not one aspect. If he's a saintly person, all these beautiful qualities come up. The same way, your unique soul qualities will start manifesting the moment you touch your soul or touch your authentic self. And the technology to do that is through yoga meditation.
So maybe at this point,
And that's what
you can teach us how we do that and what the and what some of the techniques are to be able to tap into this. Because you sold me.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. Because and my thing is, I also come from a neuroscientific background. I'm just and that's what I was just recently on Michael Beckwith Agape's. He interviewed me for his show, and I'm sure you know about Beckwith, Mr. Reverend Beckwith, who owns Agape, who was in secret.
I've heard the name, yes.
Yes, yeah. He talks about manifestation, and there are so many masters who are working on that. And what I talk about from a meditation yoga perspective is just not the woo-woo aspect, or touching my soul, touching my divine consciousness. No, I talk about what happens in the brain. And again, in my workshops, I talk in detail. So coming back to the techniques of it itself is, and I'll just give a simple technique. The first thing we need to understand conceptually is we can manipulate this energy state at three levels: at the body, the mental emotional level, and the spiritual level. And the technology for that is the first thing at the body level. What you should be doing is always say, start from today. Let's say it's 20th of April. Give yourself 6 months. Just as, hey, you're going to the gym the first day, you want to get fit. Most of the time, a minimum is 6 months. So give yourself 6 months. And first, to master the energy at the physical level, do stretching. Go to any yoga classes, take a Bikram yoga or any and work on the spine first. Stretch the spine. Since we are doing an audio interview, I'm not able to show you, but in my workshops, I can show you how to stretch the spine. And why is that important? Why is that important for confidence? Why is that important for authentic self? Just in one line, because every day we sit, the spine bends. The spine compresses. When the spine compresses and bends, we have our sensory motor nerves coming and going from the spine, which are what biologically we call afferent and the efferent nerves. So because of this compression of sitting for long hours and not having right posture, the spine bites into these nerves. And if they bite into the nerves, the signals are not complete. When the signals are not complete, you're getting improper perception. You're not getting the full power of what the nerve signals are telling you. So the first step, just this alone will fix your love life, will fix your success, will fix your body. And that's why Hatha, what the Western world is calling yoga, the true yoga masters, where from the horse's mouth, we say that's just Hatha yoga, just a physical aspect. That's just mastering the physical. That has nothing to do with mastering the mental emotional, which will be the next stage of mastery, mastering the energy state.
So before we go into that, I want to understand more about this because I'm a little confused. So you're saying if we're able to stretch our spine more, sit up straight, maybe even work at a standing desk, work on our posture, you're helping complete some of the nerve responses because you're not bending your spine. And what does that do exactly?
So what that does is, like I said, if it's just like a broken signal in a wire. If the wire is all convoluted, it's not passing signals right. Yes? Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense. But what is that? How is that affecting us?
Yeah. So how is that affecting us? Because the nerve signals are not complete. So when I touch, let's say you touch something, and immediately your brain tells you this is what it feels like, right? It's a perception. If the signals are broken, you're not getting the full power of the sensory experience. Because the nerve signals are improper and there's not enough circulation going to the brain and it's not a complete circuit. Just as if you have a bridge and all the bridges are broken and one or two bridges are alive and you take that. But imagine all the bridges and all the nerves and all the wires are working perfectly. Your experience, your senses, your five senses, your sense perceptions would work to its potential. Does it make sense?
Yeah,
just because
that makes sense.
You unblocked the energy. You unblocked by straightening the wires, by stretching.
And then with that, how does that help us? Why do we want that?
Yeah. Why you want that? That's where, because your sensory experiences of life helps you make decisions. Okay, shall I go for this person or shall I not? Every minute is decision making. Shall I go do this business or not? Shall I buy this house or not? It's humanity's greatest challenge. Every second you're called to make a decision. Yes? And if you get, whether it's the highest level, whether that's one of the reasons I made the cover of CEO magazine a year and a half ago, because I spoke to the editor and the editor didn't want to put a yoga guy. And I said, what is the most important quality of a CEO? And he said, leadership or selflessness. I said, no, it's decision making, my friend. Every second, if you get decisions right, you'll be supremely happy. If you get decisions wrong, it's either divorce or loss of money, loss of success, loss of health. What people got bad choices. Now, I want to put you in an optimal state where I want to promise, where you're helping yourself make your decisions from an empowered state. And for that, first thing you need to do is fix your posture.
Got it. Okay.
And what fixing the posture would do, it will maximize your potential for circulation. It will maximize your potential for having all the nerve currents to function properly. Right now, it's getting stuck in bad posture. So that's what
I'm now sitting up more straight since we've talked.
Yeah, people always do that. I see this in even my TV interviews everywhere. Because immediately, the moment I start talking about posture, everybody's that's it. And that's why when you see somebody with good posture, they exude confidence. We are already designed for that. We are already designed for empowerment. We are already designed for confidence. All we need to do is just go according to our true nature, which is right posture. perfect curvature of the spine. Why? Because simple. It's biting into your sensory and motor nerves. If it bites into your sensory and motor nerves, you are reading things incorrectly, or putting yourself a higher probability of reading things incorrectly, which is disastrous. I coach even a billionaire, and they're looking for love, even the billionaires. And I coach some of the biggest actresses in the country. They don't have love, incorrect perception, period. Once you fix the body, yeah. So shall we go from the body to the mental, emotional now?
Yeah, let's move to the next
Do you
one.
have any other question?
No, that makes sense. Yeah, let's keep moving.
Okay. Yeah. So the next level of mastery and how to master your energy state is at the mental, emotional level. So how are we going to do that? It's by regulating our breathing rate. So what the yoga masters found is, just as I cannot walk up to any person who is anxious to, let's say in this scenario, to talk to a beautiful girl, for example, you just can't go up to them and say, hey, be confident. Hey, don't be scared. She will like you. And they might just say yes in front of you, but when the situation happens, in reality, they feel so scared, the sweat in the hands, their heart is beating. Why is that? The reason this type of pep talk, or just thinking I'll be better or more confident or from here today, those things don't work, is because we are trying to use the mind to overcome the mind.
Okay.
Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
If you try to use the mind to overcome the mind, it will never work, because it's the same consciousness which created the problem, and we are using the same consciousness. Einstein said the height of stupidity is you cannot solve a problem at the same level it was created in. And which we yoga masters are adept at this, and it's been defined and diagnosed very clearly. So now, what can manipulate your mind? What can change your mind is your breath. And there's thousands of studies, and I myself, I've written some stuff, how you can manipulate your mind meaning your emotional state, your perception, through power of breathing. Like for example, the Navy SEALs, the heart beats in the low 30s per minute. And what is the greatest quality of a Navy SEAL? They can think clearly in extremely stressful situations. Period. That's it. And if you take a restless person,
all because of their breathing.
Exactly. They have mastered this breathing. Their lung capacity is so high, it can retain oxygen. I can go on and on about the technology of it, the yoga technology of it. But here we don't have this thing. So I'll just give you a brief overview. So if you manipulate or master your breathing rate, it will directly control and manipulate your heart rate. So the moment your heart slows down, your restless mind slows down. The moment your restless mind slows down, you sort of start getting control over your emotional state, because you've fixed the energy state, which is breathing.
Do you have any tips in terms of how to do proper breathing?
Yes. Once just sit erect the same way and breathe. Inhale through your nostril with the mouth closed. And maybe we can audio it, and we will try and get it. And you inhale through your nostril with the mouth closed to a count of probably 5 or 6, or if it's comfortable, maybe 3. Deep. Hold for a count of 3 or 5, whatever is comfortable. Then exhale through your mouth with the sound.
Okay, I'll try.
Again.
I'll try it right now.
So you do the sound twice.
So when you exhale, you go.
Exactly.
Like that.
So what this is doing, inhale through nostril, exhale through the mouth. So what you're doing right now is, every human being, because of bad posture and wrong living and bad eating, we have a ton of carbon dioxide in the lower lobes of our lungs. And carbon dioxide is not good. It makes the system acidic, and it's against what you want without getting too much into the technology of it. So I'm sorry, there's a phone going. So you are expelling the carbon dioxide in this thing. So and when you expel the carbon dioxide and you start thinking clearly, and if you keep doing this over time, you'll start expelling a ton of carbon dioxide which is accumulated in the lower lobes of your lungs, and you're oxygenating yourself. The moment you oxygenate yourself, you start having more energy, and clarity of thought descends, empowerment descends. This is the beginning of mastering your mental and emotional state. So it's just one of the exercises. And I
was going to say, this is something you can do before you go on a date, before you approach a girl.
Absolutely. And yes, and do it for a few minutes, maybe 30 times, 40 times. I do it in a car while driving, and make sure it's out in the open as possible, so that you can get as much oxygen as possible. And this oxygenation, this energy in Sanskrit, we call prana. And the prana is the mother of magnetism and electricity. And this prana is your bank balance, and it's our job to keep the prana high. And the prana is what determines your energy state. If you have high prana, you have high energy, and you have supreme mastery over your emotions. And that's it. And then that becomes a joyous life, touch with your soul. All those things happen. So all we focus on is this energy state, which is regulating prana. So this is the next stage of mastery, mental, emotional, through breathing. And the third stage is through meditation. This is where you start listening to your sixth sense, your intuition, which is super important. For example, let's say that, and I've seen this and I coach a ton of couples. Yeah, two people are very, very beautiful. The guy likes the girl, and he falls for her, and it becomes disastrous. I cannot tell you how horrible some of the stories are. Yes, and you know that too. You're a coach. Oh, I wish I knew she was this way. And she goes, oh, I wish he knew you were such a. I knew that you were such a jerk. Why? Because it's incorrect perception. You made a bad decision. Now, if you go into the silence, which is the third state of mastery, through meditation, your soul starts speaking to you, and it's there to help you make the right decision. And that's the $1 billion thing, $1 billion technology you want to have in your kitty, is to go into the silence so that you can have mastery over yourself, mastery over your energy state, so that you can make an empowered decision. Things go wrong after that, hey, things happen. But at least you'll know how to deal with them. So that's how my work, which started in the relationship, is going into the business level. Now I'm coaching a lot of CEOs, because I challenge them, I can change anybody's emotional state in 7 minutes or less. So I coach them because they want to feel empowered before making a decision. The same way in this case, people want to feel empowered before talking to a beautiful woman. These three things: fix the posture, do breathing, go into silence. Then 5-10 minutes, morning, night.
And when you say go into silence, maybe give a little direction there. Like, what do you mean by that exactly?
Yeah, there's a process to go into silence. After this breathing, there are different meditation techniques you can practice. And I'll just give one theoretically, and I'll just explain. And you can practice that. And if somebody wants to sign up for coaching sessions with me, they can, where I can walk you through and coach you. After you do the breathing, you can go into one of the powerful meditation techniques I teach is to sit down in stillness and to watch your breath as an observer, as though you're sitting on a seashore and you're watching the waves come in and go. You have no control over those waves. You're just an observer. The same way, your breath is coming in and going out, and you're just watching your breath. And what this does is, this is a very, very powerful process. The moment we become conscious of our breath, we can separate our emotional state, our restless mind, from who we really are, which is the soul. As long as we are not aware of our breathing, we are going to be in this drama of life. The moment you separate yourself from breath and become an observer rather than a participant, what you've done is you've separated your restless monkey mind from your true power, which is soul. And that's the silence I'm talking about. And this silence is what you owe to yourself before you make an important decision.
So you suggest doing this every day?
Every day. This is what I practice. This is what I practice 2 hours a day, and all my clients practice. It's just super powerful, and I cannot recommend this high enough. If you want to succeed in life, you want to get the most beautiful woman, and that's what I did. And my success story is there to as an inspiration.
I like that. That's great. So guys can do that every day, and it can help.
Twice a day.
Twice a day. Twice a day.
Yes.
For how long?
Yep, morning and night. 5 to 10 minutes in the morning and 5 to 10 minutes in the night.
Okay, so that's not so bad.
And once you start, that's how you start. You always start small. Yeah, I meditate 2 hours a day because I've been doing it over 34 years since I've been a little kid. Since I was 5 years old. You can't start. It's very, very difficult. So start slow, 5 minutes. You owe yourself that. Just as nowadays everybody is into fitness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the dating love game, or if you want to, everybody's into fitness. You better be fit. And it's a process. You have to make some sacrifices. You have to follow a healthy diet, and you have to work out 3-4 times a week. You got to do cardio, blah blah blah, to make yourself look attractive. So what I'm saying here is being tried and tested methods from India, 10,000 years, on how to beautify the inside. So we are talking emotional fitness. We are talking spiritual fitness, which are several times more important, thousands of times more important than physical fitness.
Why is that?
Super important, particularly if you. Yeah, why is that? Because, okay, now I'll talk about the distribution. What the yogis believe, what we say, is only 10% of who you are is the body. 30% of who you are is your mind and emotion. And 60% of who you are is your soul. So if you're spending 4 times a week in the gym and right eating, just for 10% of who you are, how much more time should you be spending on 90% of who you are? And now let's reverse this. That's one of the reasons relationships don't work. When you like somebody just for the body, what you're doing is you're focusing only on 10% of who they are. So the 10% of you is in love with 10% of another person. No wonder people feel empty. They have sex, and it dies out after a couple of months or a couple of weeks. And they feel empty, then they move on to the next person and doing the 10%. And then go around complaining, oh, I never got to know this person. Oh, I never knew that he was like this. Because you never explored yourself. Number one, I always say, work on yourself. So once you start discovering the remaining 90% of who you are, you will start respecting the other person. They say, hey, what I'm seeing on the outside is 10%, and that's cute, that's great, but I'm also interested in the other 90%. And that's what takes the entire lifetime. That's what makes a relationship. That's what makes a marriage. So without understanding the structure, it's going to be very, very confusing. Because, oh, she's hot, she's great. But what else? The body, anything with matter, gross matter, has got limitation. Even like, let's say sex, for example. Sex, sex is people, it's great. But there's hardly any, it goes over 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Very rarely. Because at the body level, we have a limitation. You can only do so much. But at the mental, emotional, and spiritual level, it's infinite. Infinite, because thoughts are limitless. Emotional experiences are limitless. But we need to allow ourselves the opportunity to experience this remaining 90%. And that's the reason. Mental fitness, emotional, and spiritual fitness are more important than physical fitness, because the structure of the universe, body is the smallest part of you.
I like that. That is really powerful stuff. Vish, thank you for sharing this and making it so easy to understand and for guys to use this to start getting more in control of their emotional state and, like you said, reaching their soul. So I think that's really cool. And for any guys out there who are still listening to this, you know, it may be a little out there for you. It may sound a little crazy, but I think it's worth a try. You know, I mean, it can't hurt. And there's been lots of studies done, I mean, on meditation that
Yeah.
I know you know
See,
about,
the thing
Vish, and
is,
I've read about that. It really
right,
helps
right.
calm your mind down and connect you to yourself.
Absolutely. Everything I've said, it can be proven scientifically with what happens in your brain. Yeah, it's out there. It's just like a genetics professor talking about DNA. We can think it's out there, but he can prove it. The same way we can prove slowing breath down slows the mind down, and it has some tremendous positive therapeutic effects of meditation. Everything I've said is backed by neuroscience.
Awesome. I love it. If guys want to coach with you and want to take this to the next level, how can they contact you?
The first thing, they can email me at Vish, V-I-S-H, at yogaandlove.com, yogaandlov.com.
So it's Vish
And
at
they can also
yogaandlove.com.
Yes. And they can also go to my website, which is www.yogaandlove.com/the-book. And they can read my book, which has tons of techniques. And it's got a couple of audio where I explain some very, very powerful techniques which you can practice before you go out on a date.
Awesome. I love it. Well, listen, I highly endorse working with you. So, guys, if you're still listening, check it out. Check out his stuff. loveandyoga.com/the-book.
Yogaandlove.com.
Oh, sorry. Yoga and Love. Start with yoga. yogaandlove.com/the-book. And then check out Vish, V-I-S-H, at yogaandlove.com. Fantastic. And let him know that you found him on the How to Talk to Girls podcast. Vish, thank you so much, and thanks for coming on here and sharing some of this stuff. I mean, I've learned some new things today. I know about meditation, but this kind of brought it to a little bit of a different level. So I love learning things when I'm doing interviews, and I'm glad I was able to learn today. So thanks for sharing again, and thanks for being on here.
It was an honor, Trip. Thank you. And our goal is to heal 15 million people, 15, with Yoga and Love.
Awesome.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, hopefully we put a little dent today from the listeners. So thanks again, and we'll talk soon.